Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome to another video for Decoded. The video you're about to see, it's a little different from the ones we've been doing before, where we get a little too technical. This video is not too much detail. It's more about process and showing you what a developer would go through when making something, right? In this particular case, we focused on making a front-end application, a little blog, basically. And by blog, I mean somewhere where you could post something and see your posts. So you're gonna see the app have a little area where we kind of input text and submit it, and then we're gonna see that same text that we input show up in that area designated for our blog posts. Once again, this is just to show process. You're gonna see some troubleshooting. You're gonna see Googling. You're gonna see me getting stuck in certain areas. But it's just to kind of give you an idea or the experience of what it really is developing, and kind of just demystifying that whole world. So I hope you folks enjoy it. Let me know. Make sure you subscribe, like, all that good stuff, so you can do more videos like this, So here I'm essentially prepping my directories, my folders, right? Originally the project, I was gonna split it into front end, back end, and database, which you saw me making the folders there. But in this video, what we're gonna focus on is the front end. So what you see, right? Here you're seeing me make my .html file. I'm adding my .js file, my JavaScript file, and a .css file. Cascading style sheet, which is just to make things look pretty. We're back into our HTML. We're linking up our CSS file and linking up as well right there our JavaScript file, and basically adding the class names for my HTML elements so I can then alter them or affect them here in my CSS file. These are just pretty standard reset entries, just to even because on browsers essentially you have different, think of them, configurations and stuff like this. Helps you kind of level set everything. I'm targeting my container. I'm gonna make it a grid element, and where a lot of this stuff, folks, don't get caught up in what is grid, what is this, what is that. I just wanted, the purpose of this video once again is to just show you folks the process of how I would do a small project or how I would build something, and just like I said, very minimal working product, just so you guys can see on a day-to-day what coding maybe could be about. So in this case of the container, as kind of the name implies, I'm making a container. So by saying the template rows and columns, this is smart thing to do. Finally opened up how my friend's gonna look, and in the visual you'll see it much more clearly what's going on here. But I'm just trying to make the layout for the application we're trying to make. In this case, as you guys might have seen, it said my blog. So I'm gonna make a very rudimentary version of a blog where you can post an entry, and then you'll see the entries themselves. That's where we get in the entry area, right? That's where the input is gonna reside, and the posts area is gonna be where the posts obviously reside. So I tried to speed up this video because, like I said, I was trying to show you guys how I work and the things I go through when I actually make little projects, and in it you're seeing me essentially encounter an issue or like a bug where I couldn't understand why I'm not seeing what I was supposed to see. I thought I would already see like my red and blue layout, essentially the boxes, the containers, but I wasn't seeing it. And I don't know how much of the time I spent here. I sped up the video a little bit, but you're gonna see me just try to add different attributes, and yeah, like I said, this is just as realistic as I can get, as I could be with you folks, as far as showing what I do, how I test, how I troubleshoot the errors I go in, and you're gonna see me use Google a little bit in this video. But that's the fun of this whole coding process, in my opinion. To you know what you want to make, and in facing the different frameworks, different languages. That's the fun of it, discovering like why can it work. So in this case, it was a matter of I wasn't specifying my height and width for the container. So if you could think about it, it's just all smashed up in one line, so nothing was visible. But the moment I expanded that and said, hey, take up my whole screen, now we're seeing the layout. So yeah, in the red, you're, like I said, like in the CSS, it says my entry area. That's where I'm gonna put, my input text, so where you would be able to type in a text. And then the post area, conversely, that would be where I put the post. That's gonna be scrollable, because there could be a lot of posts, there could be one post, but nonetheless it's going to be scrollable. Whereas the entry area, because it's more of a static field, or there isn't much movement there, it's going to be the same thing, like a heading, a text area, and a button. I'm not making that scrollable. But here you're seeing me enter that heading, like I mentioned, enter post here, input, it's going to be a type of text, and button. So there you go. And then once again, this is going to be very, very rudimentary. I'm not making it pretty. I'm just giving you a very simple example. But to the least, I did try to center things and make it not look too clunky. And once again, that was just to show you. It's just to show you how to do that, how I go through things, how developers go through things. Once again, see, I'm Googling, checking it out, seeing examples. Because I had experience with grid before, and I kind of know when I can see some of these things, I know what I'm looking for. But obviously early on when I didn't know grid, these resources, it takes more time to look at them, right? Because you have to understand what you're trying to read and what you're trying to do. Sometimes you get lucky and you find some code that works for your set case, but other times you do have to get creative and understand the actual what goes on when you're putting this or putting that. And that all comes with experience, as with anything, right? So yeah, I just kept trying. I'm probably gonna speed up this portion, to be honest. But I think eventually I just kind of give up and do it the easy way through Flexbox. I think I was just trying to be fancy before, using it through like grid. Like I said, there's multiple ways of doing things in anything with coding, to be honest. Flexbox, I always knew that was the easy one, but I didn't want to just default to it. So I think, yeah, I'm surprised I didn't fix the heading stuff. But yeah, so what am I trying to do here? Oh, I see. I'm stubborn. I didn't want to give up, so I think I just went back, cleaned it, and I kept trying again. And yeah, this is just me being stubborn. I honestly might not fast forward, so you folks can see it. And quick little reads, comments help too sometimes. And I will say, when you first start coding, it is very daunting with how much stuff you're seeing, but it's kind of repetition. It's repetition, really. That's all it is. I don't remember every single one of these attributes and what they mean and what they do, which is why I'm Googling them, right? But people with 10, 15 plus years experience, some of the stuff just becomes second hand. You just remember just from doing it over and over again, especially if you work in the field or you just do it every day. I'm just trying to see at what point do I just give up, because I know I end up going back to display flex. But that's the other thing, man. You can't quit. You can't quit easily with coding. It's so satisfying when you actually get it, though. But and like in life, sometimes you don't get it. So, and this is one example where I couldn't figure it out the way I wanted to do it, and for the sake of time, I was like, whatever. And then here we're just trying to be fancy, even more. Honestly, shouldn't focus so much on the. There we go. So that's more how I wanted it. And in the post area, what I did was so So it's not true, right? So I made these elements, right? The my blog post that you're seeing there as examples, how it would look, and then once again, I just made this strictly because I wanted to get a visual of how I wanted to see my final view to be. But what you're gonna see is I handle the blog post creation through the JavaScript file that we added earlier. So essentially what I'm doing right now is just, styling it. So I could, at least I'll know once I add it through JavaScript how it's going to look. But I'm going to move away the actual blog post creation, like what the context of the post, like what the actual text is, all that, into the JavaScript file. So what you're going to see at the end is really the HTML file has nothing inside the post area. And the population or the creation of the content on that post area is going to be all handled through JavaScript, which is, once again, showing you folks the versatility of what you can do with JavaScript. You can obviously add anything you could do with HTML, you could do with JavaScript. That's how you add like some neat effects into things. So just to reiterate what I'm trying to do as the project, we're making a quick little blog poster, if that's a thing. Pretty self-explanatory on the visual. You're going to enter your post there. You're going to click the button, and I'm hoping that the logic handles it well, where the post that you just posted appears in your post area as a part of your blog. So here's the fun part, right? So we get to the JavaScript file. So what are we doing here? I'm creating a list, right? A list of JSON objects, or a list of objects, and as you saw, each one of those objects had a message called "This is a test." So you think of each one of those objects as posts, right? So I had like 5 or 6 posts. Then I'm doing my post container is the it would be ideal to show the HTML now, but my post container is where all the posts are going, right? The post area that we saw. I should probably name the same to be fair, but yeah, where all those blogs are, that's my post container. And then for each one of my blog posts, right, each one of those objects that we said that had the message "This is a test," I want to create a instance of a post, or a version of a post, right? Or like I said, a post itself. Posts go into the post area, so I want to make a post. So let's call that one post a post container, individual one, right? Because the whole thing is the posts container. So it's a div. I'm essentially here recopying what you guys saw me making the HTML, which was an element and then like a header within it, right? So right there, it's a post container, it's a div, and within it's a header too. So I'm adding the class that I had to give us the styling that you're looking at the left, so we don't miss a beat with that. And then here you're gonna see that the post text is my header. So I'm gonna same thing, document create element, it's a header too. And let the text equal the message, right? The post. So remember, we're going through right now blog posts. There were 6 blog posts we're going through right now. So the post is that instance, and I'm adding the message in that, and then I'm adding all that together. So for each post in the post container, where it contains multiple posts, add a post, add child post container. And so now on my left, you're seeing this is a test, which is the message we made in our blog post list, right? If you recall. And just to show that it's not duplicates or anything like that, I just added the index, or at what iteration of our for loop we're at. Right, so we had, I don't even know how many blog posts we had, but I think it was 4 or 5. If I scroll down. Yeah, it was 5. So, like I said, so you saw we deleted all our HTML code within our post container, and the content of that div is being created by our JavaScript file. We're making a submit button, and now what we're gonna do is implement the functionality where when we post it adds it to our post area. Right, so let's get our submit button. Since there's only one button in our whole HTML, I'm just targeting the button element. Otherwise I would use, as you saw the other case, the class name. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to associate a function to that submit button whenever it's clicked. So if I'm not mistaken, the next thing I did was add an event listener. An event listener is, yeah, it's kind of self-explanatory. It listens for events, and think of clicking the button as an event, right? So anytime, what you're saying here is anytime that button is clicked, handle submit. Handle submit's going to be the name of the function. So whenever that button is clicked, do this function, do this handle submit. Whatever I'm going to put right now, handle submit, do that. And as a test, what I do is, alert works. So when I click the button, something should pop up. Works. You saw that, right? Real quick. So now I know they're connected. What do I do next? Actually implement what I'm trying to do. So since I want to add the posts, probably not the cleanest way of doing it, probably way better ways. But my thought process was, let me just wipe whatever in the content of the post containers. So remove all the posts and then just rebuild it again. So remove all posts and rebuild. So every time there's a new post, we're kind of clearing up house and then just adding it. Like I said, there's better ways of doing it probably. But I just did whatever came to my mind first. So what I'm doing right now on the left side is me. I'm trying, once again, Google, right? I don't know everything. So I know that I want to remove elements through JavaScript. So I think that's probably what I Googled, remove elements or remove, child elements from JavaScript. And then basically on the left, you're saying remove all child nodes, and they're seeing, you see the functions kind of cut off, but remove all child nodes, and I'm basically copying that. And where a lot of people don't realize, I think sometimes about code, I don't know how much it is, right? I want to say you want to be an imposter. You definitely want to know what you're doing, but there's a plethora of information out there to help you. You just gotta know what you're looking for. So here you're gonna see me add post container. While post containers first child exists, remove the child, and this was not working. Surprise, it wasn't working, and it took me a little bit to figure it out. And the reason it wasn't working, it's gonna take me a bit to discover. So if you could see it on the line 40, I have remove child, and I'm targeting the parent.first child. In this case, parent is not defined, right? The parent came from me copying and pasting code. So that's a case where I have to know what I'm actually doing. I just can't copy and paste code. So parent should actually be post containers. And it takes me a while to recognize that. So I'm trying to rebuild it as a different type of function. Nothing. And then, so you see a post container should be what I'm targeting, not parent, when I remove the child. So on line 40, which says parent, it should not be parent. And yeah, I'm human as well. It took me a bit. And when I did, there we go. And you get it. And that's right there, the difference between, giving up and continuing. It took me a bit, but I remember I was happy as hell when that worked. So on to the next one. Right after we rebuild, which is clear up all the posts, I want to add our post. So if you recall, we're adding what we put in our text box. So I want to get the input area. And once again, I'm testing, right? When I click add post, console log or print out what's the value of my input area? Or in other words, what's the text in the input area? What does the person put? So when I put test, you can see test is popping up, so that works. And now it's a matter of getting that input area value and adding it to my list of blog posts, if you recall. So as you can see there, I'm creating a new object, and the message is the input area.value. And since we already have the logic, whenever it rebuilds based off our list, we should be having this work. And it didn't. Why didn't it work? Why didn't that work out? Oh, because I never built it. So I only removed it but never built it again. And when I built it, the map function, remember, is what actually creates the content. So yeah, and there we have it. I'm adding posts, just cleaning up. This is my post, and whoop whoop. Oh, and we add that. And there you go. That's essentially a blog.